United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Need a motion to approve the agenda. Second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried. Action items out of closed session. We've got closed session minutes from November 20th and November 29th. Need a motion to approve the minutes presented. A second.
Brewer?
Yes.
Beerush?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Searing? Worley? Yes. Juravich?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes. Also on a closed session, we need to approve the recommendation from the expulsion hearing that student A be expelled for gross disobedience, misconduct for 1.5 school years, the remainder of the 2018-19 school year and the 19-20 school year, with a contingency to attend Sangamon County Safe Schools. It is also recommended that student A be given the opportunity to apply for readmission to GHS for the fall of 2020-2021 school year. The decision to readmit will be based on appropriate grades, attendance, and behavior at the Sangamon County Safe School program. Student A does not meet the attendance, behavior, and effort requirements set in place at Sangamon County Safe Schools. He may be removed from that program and default to a traditional 2-calendar year expulsion from all academic programs. Second.
Beerush?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Searing?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Juravich?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes. Moving on, we have a truth and taxation hearing. And at this time, I'm going to open up the hearing to everybody, public included, board. Charlotte, you got any updates?
The tentative levy presentation given last month has not changed. The numbers are on the screen. And what I'm asking for tonight, barring any questions anybody might have, is for the board to approve the certificate of levy here.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Maddox?
Yes.
Searing?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Juravich?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Beerush?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte, for
Thank you.
always being very thorough and explaining what you do to us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate that.
Happy holidays.
You back at you.
They got anything they want to add? Any questions about the levy? Okay, then I need a motion to close this hearing. So a second.
Juravich?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Beerush?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Searing?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Pat?
Yes. Then this time we need to approve the resolution to adopt 2018 tax levy. Is that right? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Juravich?
Yes.
Beerush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Maddox? Searing?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Pat?
Yes. Moving on, communications. We have a annual report, Director of Technology, Josh, welcome.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it as always. Thanks everybody for coming out. I know everybody probably come out for the tech report, so. But since you're here, I'm gonna recruit your help. Before we get started on this report, I gotta read all 3,000 Chromebook serial numbers, so I'm just gonna pass these out. Everybody read at least 5. You switch me, Ashley. All right, annual technology report. this is all gonna be based on, if you remember, our continuous goal, our continuous improvement plan. I'm just gonna gear towards the technology piece now. So goal number 1 was to increase equitable access to technology across the buildings for grades K through 12. The action we took that happened during the summer was we provided additional Chromebooks to all elementaries. I believe at the start of the year, we shipped 11 additional carts to all 3 elementaries, and just recently we shipped another at least 4 to all the elementaries. That was made possible because what we did was we were able to rotate the carts that were no longer used at the high school, the middle school, and the intermediate school down to the younger levels. So that gave them all those additional carts and pretty much made 2nd through 4th at the elementaries 1-to-1, and I believe in it a lot of the first grades have enough or close to being 1-to-1. Another one of our actions was we wanted to get rid of the thin clients throughout the district. That was another action that we completed all the way 100% this last summer. The thin client, the virtual desktop environment, is no longer in existence at all in the district. We have desktops placed throughout, or at least Chromebooks in areas where they would suffice. So the virtual desktops are no longer anywhere. Another one that we have, and it's an ongoing, was the replacement of our desktops. So our desktop replacements, we never had a desktop replacement where we were kind of getting some of the older technology out and bringing in some newer technology. So this summer we replaced all the teacher machines at the high school, we replaced all the teacher machines at the middle school, and we replaced and upgraded the high school audio and visual lab, Ms. Kaler's lab, with better desktops. We put bigger monitors in there and better graphic cards that she needs for her Photoshop program and things like that. And we rotated some machines that were a little bit better into the district office. This is ongoing, so we also whenever we do something like this, we got a plan of, okay, we freed up all these teacher machines from the high school. If those machines are better than, let's say, our nurses' machines, our head cook machines, or even our head custodians, then we're basically just constant rotating these things around the district and making sure that everybody at least has the best quality that we have available. And again, this is just going to be ongoing. We don't ever want it to stop where we're in such a bind again where we're having to replace all of them. So every summer we'll buy certain ones and everybody will be on a rotation to where hopefully we keep you on a better running machine. Goal number 2, decrease student to device ratio with a goal of 1-to-1 in grades 2 through 12. Mission accomplished. This goal we decided to go all in, and we were true 1-to-1, 2nd through 12th, 5th grade through 12th grades, taking them home, check them out, every one to every student. 4th and under are still cart-based, but they have them throughout the day, so they're 1-to-1 in their classrooms. I wanted to show just the scope of the project this was. I put out an email at the start of the year, but I don't know if the board got this, so I wanted everybody to see the scope of this. We leased 3,000 Chromebooks. So just from the top to the bottom, those Chromebooks had to be delivered to every school, so we had to separate, according to enrollments to every school. We had to unpack 3,000 Chromebooks. We had to scan 3,000 Chromebooks. We had to put barcodes on 3,000 Chromebooks. We had to enroll them in our domain, attach them to our Wi-Fi. We had to pack them in the protective bags. We had to put barcodes on the bags. We had to put barcodes on the chargers. And then, on top of that, we had to get rid of 3,000 boxes. And then check them all out to the students. Okay, so just seeing the scope of that, I want it to be clear that there is no way this would have been possible if it wasn't for such a huge team effort. They say it takes a village. In this case, it took a district. Everybody from Lenny Baldwin and the grounds crew were, I know, if anybody knows Lenny, I feel like he's the only guy for sure in this district that always has a smile on his face. I don't care what's going on. He's working and he's got a smile on his face. But my heart tells me when he sees my phone number pop up on his phone, that might be the one time that's not go so well. But no, he's great. I'll say, Lenny, I need these X amount of cards moved, and he's on it. I'm on it. I'll take care of it. The intermediate custodians, Greg and John, we had to rotate around them. Then they were waiting on us to get out of the library, clean up after us, and things like that. It was a team effort. Julie Smith, nothing like jumping right into the fire, the new librarian at the intermediate school, to help us barcode and get things ready to check out to the students there. Gregridge actually came in. Mom might have threatened him with not being able to eat that night, but she was there. It helped us out. Special thanks to Rosemary Stone as well, the middle school librarian. She's wonderful. I mean, I'm going to hit on her a little bit later, but checking out the Chromebooks and making it just as smooth as possible, because all our Chromebooks run through the library system. Check-ins, check-outs, just like a library would. The high school custodians. High school was the biggest. I mean, we have 1,400, at least 1,400 Chromebooks in that building alone, and you can see kind of in the bottom picture, we would have stacks and stacks of garbage and cardboard boxes when we'd leave at night. That night crew came in, and it looked like it never happened that day. It was cleaned every night, so special thanks to them. Miss Clevenger, I know she's in the house, and I got to give a special thanks to her too. She's excellent. She runs my show over at the high school in the library, and I think she kind of seen the writing to where we're pushing the time, and she really spearheaded getting the next group in here that I got to tell thanks to is the high school student helpers. She led those kids while we were finishing up the middle school and getting those checked out. And then lastly, but definitely not least, my tech team, John Hopkins, Joe Maltus, Jim Chase, Vernell, and Randy. But I wanted a huge thing to Noel and the high school students. Whenever this was such a big project, and that our timeline was getting littler and littler, and it was like, I didn't know if we were going to make it. And I know if it wasn't for those high school helpers putting in the time and helping us out, we would have not gotten these out on time. But with their help, our deadline for when the kids were supposed to have them got met. Everybody was happy. So again, huge thank you, huge team effort to make that possible. So let's talk a little bit, because that was a goal, but a little bit of a one-to-one update, and just so how it looks in case you ever wondered how this looks like. So in the intermediate school, the middle school kind of do a different way than the high school. So all the kids have their own devices. They're supposed to take them home every night and charge them and bring them back every day. That doesn't always happen. So at the middle school and the intermediate school, each teacher has at least 2 of the older Chromebooks that we're able to free up. And when I say older, they're the ones that we wanted to get out eventually. But in my thought process, if a kid didn't bring his, then we don't want to make sure that he has a nicer one than anybody else. So we want to try to deter them from having to check out a loaner. So they have 2 loaners in their room. If they need one, they can use one. If they have a malfunction, they report to the library in those 2 buildings. Or library in the middle school, the front office in the intermediate school. They get reported to us. My tech team goes and takes a look at them and repairs them. Damages, it happens. And unfortunately, whenever that happens, I get notified. I go and take a picture of all the damage that's taken place, make an invoice, send the invoice to our financial secretaries at the buildings, and then send an invoice home. So that's how that works. The breaks, speaking of damages, the most common, broken screens. The biggest thing that we've seen is with the cases, kids will leave a set of earbuds, headphones, pencils. Pencil's a big thing. They'll put them in their case. They close the case. The pencil rolls in between the screen and the keyboard, cracks the screen. There's nothing we can do to stop it. We did the best we could by offering the case. Whether they keep it in the case like they're supposed to is another thing. But the cases do their job. We even had an incident where a Chromebook got tossed out of a bus, and the Chromebook was not a scratch on it, not a broken screen or anything. So if they are left in the cases, I feel confident they do their job. On breaks, we have 56 breaks total between the high school, intermediate, and the middle school. Out of those 56, we only have 11 outstanding fees to be collected, and out of those 11, just 6 have happened recently. So it's not bad. But you might be thinking 56 breaks, that's a lot. We have an issue here, and then I just encourage you to really think, do we have an issue? Do we have a problem? Because 3,056, that's only 1.87% of our total enrollment. So I don't think we have a device problem. We might have a taking care of the device problem. And accidents happen, but I don't feel like that it's on the device itself. On to goal number 3, maintain, support, expand the network infrastructure as the district needs grow and evolve. One of the actions that we had on the plan was to evaluate the district storage and replace the old data centers that ran the virtual desktop environment. We did that this summer by basically going to a hyper-converged solution that converged both our storage out there and our server needs, processing needs. By doing that, we hit a huge cost savings. This paid for itself basically this year on just not having to do renewals on our maintenance agreements on the old machine or the old data centers. And it had a huge reduction in our digital and our energy footprint. We went from this summer alone, this was even cut from when I first started here, 85 servers down to 31. So we're really reducing that stuff that we don't need out there. The other action on here, it's not a huge deal, but I feel like at least it needs to be addressed. I know we took our network out to the press box. We already had fiber between our athletic facilities and the high school, but they are unoperable. So we made those to where they could work, and now whenever the media and that, or Dusty and those guys need it out in the press box, it's out there. Goal 4, provide professional development in areas of technology and technology-infused curriculum and instructional practices. We have started back up the Taste Technology where Mr. Cox goes and visits the schools and kind of gives a taste of a tool and hopefully sparks some interest. Another thing we're trying to do this year is with the elementaries doing more of a makerspace and STEM labs for areas. We try to do a STEM/tech showcase. So like this last few months we bought a set of little bits and tried bringing them around so kids could get exposed to them. A big thing here was trying to get some fillers out there on what does work, what does interest kids, what can we go further into. So that'll continue to grow and try to spotlight some things. And we do have a SIP, hopefully carousel coming up at the high school, middle school, where we're going to do a technology carousel where it'll be kind of like a technology showcase within the district. Some things not really straight on my goals, but they're tech related, was the Fuse labs at the middle school and the intermediate school. We've got the 15 Macs in each one of the buildings, 2 3D printers in each one of those labs, and the vinyl machines. So if you get a chance and want to stop in there and see some of the kids doing their STEM projects, that's up and going. And even those are being used, I believe, from students not even in the STEM classes at times if it's available. Another huge thing, I know this isn't necessarily part of my goals as far as technology, but it's a district goal, student safety. We gave these kids devices, so I feel like it's our job to make them as safe as possible while they're on the devices. We have 3 really different security things going on these Chromebooks right now and on our network. Maybe a little bit of overkill, but at the time right now, I'm thinking it's better to be safe than sorry. I don't want that one incident to fall through and then think, oh, we should have had something else going. So we are kind of evaluating all 3, making sure that everything gets covered. Now, I will say this right off the bat, even with all 3, none of these 3, I don't care if we threw 3 more up there, is foolproof. You know what I mean? Kids are either going to get around filters. The filters are, I mean, in all reality, just algorithms and computers running on kids' emails, running on their Google Drive, so it's not going to catch everything, but it is doing a good job. At least we're doing our best to try to cut it down. So let's talk a little bit about these things. The first one, Go Guardian, is our web filter. We didn't do it at first, but once we started sending them home, some parents had some concern on, hey, you're sending this home. I don't have any protection at home for my kid getting on the sites. So Go Guardian is what blocks the Chromebooks here at school and monitors the kids here at school. It also filters any of the traffic when the kids go home. We don't monitor the kids' traffic at home, but we do at least block them from getting on inappropriate sites. The other part of this Go Guardian feature that we had was another concern was what our teachers had concern with was, hey, I have a classroom full of computers in here and I have no clue what our kids are doing. This is only implemented through the intermediate through the high school, but it's Go Guardian Teacher, where they can live monitor their entire classroom fleet of Chromebooks while the kids are in there. So they know what their kids are doing at any time. Not only can monitor them, but can really control their classroom. If they don't want them to get to YouTube while they're in their classroom, then they block them from YouTube while they're in their classroom. We get smart alerts. Go Guardian smart alerts aren't there yet, but a big thing is reporting. I've unfortunately had to work a lot more with parents and teachers and administration on, hey, I need to know what Johnny or Sally was doing on their Chromebook this time. So we can run reports on those where we couldn't before. Going over to Securely, we backed off Securely to it still blocks. We don't use it as our primary blocking. It only works here at school. But a bigger thing that Securely does for us is the self-harm. And unfortunately, that is becoming more and more of an issue in our buildings. I hate to say it, but it is. And how that works is if, let's say, a kid Googles, I hate my life, it sends a trigger. And if a kid hits suicideprevention.com or whatever it is, it sends a trigger. And so how that works is that I get an alert and I forward on to the counselor, whoever, I'll look up the kid's counselor and whoever it may be and send it to them and say, hey, here it is. I know the counselors have been really good as far as, hey, got it, and we're going to do a risk assessment on this student. So, and BART's the same way. Securely doesn't do the drive. We use BART more for drive. If a kid has a Google Doc in his drive that says something similar, let's say, I'm going to bring this gun to school tomorrow, then that BART should send an alert and let us know that it's in there. This has allowed technology to form new partnership with parents. Like I said, I've had parents call and ask questions and ask if we could do certain things to keep their kids off certain sites, and we've done that. Counseling with the self-harms, I think it's helped identify some kids maybe that we didn't know had issues, and they do. And law enforcement too. I mean, we've unfortunately had to have a couple interaction with law enforcement on some higher issues. So, but we are trying to at least do our part to keep our kids safe when using technology. So that was all goals and actions that have taken place. Now what are we looking for coming soon? What's some things that we got in the pipeline? E-rate fiber builds. I want to talk about this a little bit, and I'm going to go forward and then I'm going to come back. So currently our network, everything goes out of the high school from the internet, for the internet. So this is how currently our network looks. Glenwood Elementary is directly connected, but all our other buildings are connected via wireless radios, point to points. They do their job. Are they the best at it? No. I mean, because there's a better solution out there, and the better solution is fiber. We have never really, we've looked into it, but when we've looked into it, we thought the cost isn't worth it, that upgrade. Well, so how E-rate is working now is E-rate's a federal grant that we always get, but they have special construction money now that they will give you construction to build out fiber to your buildings, which is still could be costly. We get 50% of our construction back of that money. So it could, depending on, let's say that the one that, a big one is the high school to the middle school, just because you go around the lake. So that could be a costly build. But what's nice right now is the state of Illinois has a matching grant that we've applied for as well, that they will match an additional 40% of that build. So now schools are being able to build these fibers for 10% at the top. Sometimes it's so not enough that they just cover the entire building, just we'll take care of it, they say. So our proposal that we put in, and again, this is all going to be barring that we get E-rate number one, and if we get E-rate, then ISB will come and match that grant. So if we get these, that's when we'll look to do it. If we don't get these, we're gonna go stay status quo, which works fine, but if with the, there's not a lot of school districts taking advantage of the state of Illinois matching grant, so if we can do it, we're gonna at least see it. Nothing's set in stone that says, hey, you approved for this, you have to do it. This is just, we put it out there to hopefully see if it's even possible. But what that allow us to do is put fiber runs from the high school to Chatham Elementary, fiber runs from the high school to the middle school, and if you're wondering, all the transportation GIS is already fibered between the middle school, so we only need one run really to get it there, and then it'd be more cost effective to get the district on fiber by running to Chatham Elementary as opposed all the way back to the high school, so that's why we did that. All the red lines are fiber. The one that worries me is the one on the bottom, and I put it to the intermediate school, just thinking to try to save, but I'm going to guess, we wrote our grant as in, you can bid out any of these, but if one of these is too uncost effective, leave it off. And unfortunately, Ball's placement out in the middle of nowhere could put us like that. We've reached out to Comcast, we've reached out to other companies to try to get them to put fiber in there already, and the cost for them to build it is too high. And the big thing is then, you gotta look whenever you're running these, okay, if they're going to go from the intermediate school to Ball, what do we gotta go between? Or what do we gotta go through? We gotta go through the interstate. Nobody wants to bore under 55. It's not going to happen. So worst case though, we could increase that radio and Balls and improve their performance. But again, that's all. Basically, it's on a wish list right now with the state and with the federal government. So let's go back here to our things coming down the line still. Another one for me would be on my infrastructure goal, disaster recovery. Right now, we are working to where our 2 data centers at the middle school, for whatever reason, and I mean, now you look and everybody thinks it can't happen, but look at Taylorville, it just happened. Their school luckily was safe, but tornado comes through. What if a tornado comes through? We don't have a true disaster recovery right now other than build up from scratch. With our new disaster recovery that we're working on to hopefully get it up, we're about in the final stages of it now, is if the middle school goes down, we'll be able to shift everything over to the high school. If the high school goes down, we'll be able to shift everything from over to the middle school and just bring all the servers up like they were out there the entire time. So that's a big one for me. Another one, it's not really me, it's more me, Dusty, and Keith Kennedy. I don't know if Keith's here tonight, but the esports. I said 2 years ago that this is coming, and it's getting more and more momentum as esports in high schools. It's starting out as clubs. I know Taylorville's got clubs, Southeast, Athens. It's just getting more and more. Bloomington. It's on the IHSA emerging sports list now. Keith Kennedy at the high school, he's a math teacher, started a club this year. I know in his initial meeting he had 100 show up. I don't know what he ended up getting them down to, but he's had 100 kids show up for this. And you might be thinking, esports, are you kidding me? And I know, I get it, but colleges are throwing money left and right, scholarships at this right now, believe it or not. Like $90 million worth of scholarships sitting out there. I know Illinois College just put in a huge state-of-the-art esports lab. I think Millikan has one. These schools, it's getting more and more. And a lot of it is, and when you think about it, one of the best recruits to fly a drone is a kid who can play a live video game. And so it's more and more stuff like that that they're starting to identify these kids for like this. Another one still, STEM opportunities, STEM opportunities, makerspace. Our big goal, and I know I'm going to team with Jen Farnsworth on this, and hopefully form an innovation team, and to really start identifying what we want opportunity-wise our kids here to get when it comes to STEAM and STEM opportunities. I know she kind of hit on the explorers, creators, innovators, and entrepreneurs, but identifying what we want to make sure our kids get in those type of fields before they leave here. And of course, continue to support. We're always going to continue to support our teachers, give them what they need if they need new technology comes up, desktop rotation, Chromebooks. We implemented the one-to-one. We can't just push it to the side again. It's going to be an ongoing cost. I mean, we're leased for 3 years, but we might have to buy additional here and there to make sure to still take care of our elementary buildings and things like that. Questions? What we got, Greg?
Well, I think it's great where we've come from. I mean, when we first got here, we got calls all the time about this broke, that broke, nothing's working. So that's great. You're doing an awesome job, and I appreciate that. But I do have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just back up real quick to the business continuity plan, which is your off-site and backable stuff. Most of it's going in the cloud, but do you guys have plans to be able to operate if it all goes down from somewhere else off-site or not?
That's what this is gonna do. So what it's gonna do is, let's say something happened to the high school, we'll be able to spin up all our servers that are located at the high school now on that GMS data center, and then it'll just, everything will point back
As
to
long as
it.
you have multi-places.
Yeah. And we do backups, so we back up off-site, you know what I mean? So like, all our high school backups go to the middle school right now. All our middle school backups go to the high school. It's just if a physical natural disaster or something like that happened, we didn't have a disaster more for it. So that's what this is gonna really help us with now. If something ever happened to our buildings or something like that, we'd be able to spin up half our network back over on the other side. Or the half that went down on that.
You talked a little bit about Mr. Cox and going back and retouching some of the, using the equipment. In my house, we're an Apple house, okay, and Chromebook, Google doesn't always interface well with Apple Pages. And we ran into an issue where my daughter couldn't get something printed off because of the differences in the stuff. But she didn't understand how to use, the ports and stuff that were available on the machine. Like one of the solutions to print off a document she needed that we couldn't do on the Apple machine, and we just ran that cable, it's a, what's that cable?
USB cable?
USB, yeah. Ran the USB cable right into the thing and ran the printer right off the Chromebook.
Yeah.
So you could run a printer right off that Chromebook, but she didn't know that.
Yeah.
She had no idea to know how to do that. And if I didn't know how to do that, I don't know what she had done. She also didn't know that there's a jump drive in the same USB slot, so you put a jump drive in there. She goes, what are you talking about, Dad? I said, surely you know about jump drive. She goes, right. What are you talking about? So I think it would be really important that you go back and these kids learn how to actually use these machines in a way where if they experience problems, that they can handle, because there's a lot of parents out there that don't have the technical expertise that maybe I do or somebody else does, where they can figure these things out.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage you to
I'd-
get something in place where we're
We can
training
do that.
these kids how to use
I
it.
know that I like what Doug's doing at the high school. It usually hits us up like for a tech tip. I think maybe we need to do a better job of doing that district-wide, some similar stuff like that, even just cute or, simple stuff like that, so,
Just something to think about.
yeah.
It's nice to know have 3D printers in the school. Who is using and for what purpose they use for the 3D printers?
The what?
3D printers.
It's used mainly in the Fuse Lab right now, so the Fuse Lab has 3D printing challenges, like one of them is make a bust of yourself, so it's 3D used, so the kids do a challenge to create a 3D rendering of basically their face and things like that, so, and then print just little things. That is one where I'd like to see us get more 3D printers and get that opportunity out to kids. I think 3D printing opens the door for a lot of things for creativity. I've heard stories where a kid said, "Oh, I had a piece break off my backpack." Well, I just went into our innovation center and made one. So I'd like to see us get more of those at the younger high school. The high school has one too, but it's more just down, I think, in Miss Kaler's lab. So I'd like just to see us expand that for sure. You see even, the challenges for creating the hands and things like that.
Yeah,
That
that's what
kids,
mine
high
is.
schools are doing.
Organs.
Yeah.
We want to print the organs.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do we have an adequate amount of materials to use those 3D printers?
With our labs, but that's another, you gotta figure that's an ongoing cost too, yeah, for the filament.
You are talking about the fiber optics, so probably now very soon we will switch to 5G network.
No, it's not 5G, it's just fiber in general,
That's
so.
what my question, if we switch to 5G network, then do you think these fibers are really useful?
Yeah, because it would be better to having that hard connection. You're not gonna get a better connection for a fiber.
Because I don't know much about that, but
Yeah.
I know that once we have 5G network, probably even at home, we are not going to use any cards or any.
Yeah, your Wi-Fi is gonna just become more and more dependable, but I'm still, and that's why, I mean, we have the point-to-points now that run pretty well, but I'd feel a lot better if we had the hard line connecting the schools. You know, it's just more dependable, and I feel like you can pass larger traffic. On that project too, we could also get creative with it, and all our internet traffic go out our fiber lines, and all, let's say, our internal Skyward traffic would just go through our radios. So it would allow us to do some nice traffic shaping with that.
Have we started running into any bandwidth issues? How much about that?
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't have brought that up, Ray. No, knock on wood, not yet, not yet.
But you see it down the road.
Oh, I see it, yeah, I mean, because we're just keep going, we're gonna keep getting bigger, and we keep pushing, more and more stuff's coming online, you know, so that's why it'd be nice to get on this fiber and get it paid for when somebody's gonna pay for it for us. You know, and then we can use money to increase our pipeline going out as opposed to inside, so. You know, and if this comes, worst case, like I said, we'll stay status quo, but we might come to a point where do we split the district in half? And have to put in a separate connection because we have so many kids on that side or at middle school and intermediate and Ball. So then we have one pipe going out there, and we can have one pipe still going out to high school, but at least lessen the traffic. So we're gonna keep our options open on that. But if this comes to pass, then we won't have to worry about that. We'll be able to pass 10 at the start, 10 gig, and we probably go up to 40 in between our buildings. Sorry. Anything else?
I just want to give you kudos. I've only been on the board for 4 years. When I first came in, that is all we got was emails and phone calls. And teachers turning out in droves because of the technology. So I know you think they came for your presentation. I think maybe they came to give you a round of applause.
And if there's no more question on this, I'm the tech director, and key to that director, when I think director, I think a lot of like a movie director, who oftentimes you'll see these big films and it's always the director getting the credit, it's always the director. But behind every director is a good cast and crew, some star power, some others producers. I want to make sure that this is the same way. I got a good supporting cast. I got a good production company in the Board of Education and the community behind us. I got a good crew and my technology crew, executive producers and my administrators back here. Good supporting cast and my teachers right here. And I got some of the best star power in our students. So that's what makes Thank you guys.
Josh, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Next, we've got an update on the school logo testing.
First of all, Josh is awesome, so it's really intimidating to follow. Wanted to very briefly just give everyone an update on the logo committee. We've taken some time off in the fall. We came back together recently and wanted to just share with everyone our goal and some of the things that we have in the works. So our goal as a logo committee is to explore the opportunity to create or adopt or bring together one unifying, unique logo that we can all use across the district. In the arts, in athletics, in academic worlds, we all are titans. and we all want to be represented equally, and we want to find that image that represents us all, that no matter what you're involved in, you can wear that image proudly, and it really truly represents all of us Titans. And so that is our goal with our logo committee. A couple of the key things that we're trying to do right now is first of all, we have a very diverse committee. We have 20 members of our committee. That committee includes administrators, teachers, coaches. We're represented from after-school activities. We have teachers in different buildings. We have a number of community members on our committee. We have some students on our committee as well. So one of the things that we're really trying to do is get voices from a lot of different areas. And we feel like the communication piece is very important with this process. And to that end, what we've just put out, and Betsy did a great job of putting it all together for us yesterday, is we're starting to drip some information that we're going to be taking in design ideas from the community and from the students. And so Josh set us up with a nice brand new email so that we can pull all that information, the committee can get back to work on all those designs and continue to have those conversations and progress from there. And hopefully we can come up with something spectacular that we can use to represent all of us.
Will you be trademarking that once you get it so that we can
Yes.
realize the royalties from it?
Yes.
Dusty, when's the submission date for those designs? It's coming up here.
The submission window is going to be January 8th to the 22nd. And we're going to have different ways to submit. You can submit digitally through the email that we've posted through social media and online. Josh and I are also working on a form because sometimes those design files are too big for email, so we're setting up a form so they can submit digitally through there. And then the principals of the schools have been gracious enough for us to allow people to physically drop off drawings at the front desk, so we can have people who don't want to use technology can just draw things out and turn them in, and we'll collect them that way as well.
So I'm just sitting here thinking, the night we decided to move on and kind of redo the process the last time, I don't think you were here, but a group of parents were. And I remember asking them if they would volunteer, and several of them put up their hands. So I don't want to assume that you wouldn't know that. So whoever wrote down their names, I think maybe Doug wrote down their names, and he's assuming that you've got, like, I just want to make sure.
We've got some people that were here that night on our committee.
You do?
Yes.
I just wanted to be sure of that. And then there was a lady here that night that brought a logo in. Honestly, it was the best one I had seen. But, no offense, but like, is she engaged in it, or does she know? We're good? There you are. All right, we're good.
I am not in the process, but I'm happy to email him again. He's Dusty and I.
As long as you know there's a submission date, January 8th to 22nd.
Thank you.
But,
I'll keep that
okay,
in
I
mind.
just didn't want people to think we weren't trying to be
No.
totally open here.
Yeah, you got points all the way over.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Josh, thanks, that was informational. Moving on to 5.3. Anybody got anything they want to bring to the board's attention? It's an agenda item. No? Everybody good? Okay, then moving on to consent agenda items, we have 6.1 to 6.7. Anybody wish to pull any of them? If not, do I have a motion to approve 6.1 to 6.7 as presented? Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ashley.
Worley,
Yes.
Urevich,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Bureau,
Yes.
Maddox,
Yes.
Searing, Cox.
Yes. Moving on, personnel consent items. We got 7.1 to 7.16. Anybody wish to pull any of them? Nope. I need a motion then to approve as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll give it a second.
Ashley?
Brewer,
Yes.
Bureau,
Yes.
Maddox,
Yes.
GMS and GHS open up our course description books to evaluate for the following year based on standards, evolving, changing standards, and the needs of our students. And collaboratively, as we do so well, because together is better, with our curricular areas, we discuss the needs for the changes in our course description books. And so tonight, I'm just going to let you know about the one that we have for GIS. And it's really off of the heels of what Josh had to talk about, was our STEM/STEAM programs that is forever growing, our innovation labs, our Fuse labs, that actually start in at the sixth grade level with our encore classes. It's a 30-minute, 9-week class that started as STEM last year, and you can see all of the changes. Basically, we changed the entire course description because over the summer, with the very gracious support of the board and the BCEF, we were able to adopt the curriculum of the Fuse program out of Northwestern, which is an excellent jump start for our sixth grade students to that introductory level to delve into STEAM. So they are able to look into the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics portion of basically innovations, which is a direct reflection of the BCSD mission and vision, as well as the GIS mission. So the changes are all in red, and we have changed the name to STEAM because each of the challenges that our curricular area Fuse delves into touches upon each one of those scientific areas. And as Josh alluded to, the Fuse program offers multiple avenues through these challenges that are designed to promote problem solving individually and in groups, also perseverance, and basically for them just to possibly delve into other areas that they might be interested in besides our typical curricular areas, our core curricular areas. So if you just read through this, basically our changes are what STEAM does and what our program does, promoting leadership, peer mentorship, collaboration, problem solving, and perseverance in the technology areas. It offers these challenges such as, and this is not in the course description, but just to give you a couple of examples, virtual reality, eye candy, where they create glasses with the 3D printer that we talked about, jewelry design so that they can work together with partners, and that really touches upon their engineering and artistic ability, electric apparel, so they get to know about circuitry, and ringtones for their phones. So it touches upon some of the new innovative things that are happening in their lives, making it very relevant, and also gives them an opportunity to take a glance into STEAM and make the decisions if they would like to choose that as one of their electives for GMS. So with your acceptance, I would like for this to be the new course description for that 9 weeks elective called STEAM.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any got questions, comments, discussion? No?
Good with it?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good. First and a second.
Yurevich,
Yes.
Worley,
Yes.
Spearman,
Yes.
Maddox,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Cox.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Drager. 8.2 GMS. Lana.
Thank you. So a little over a month ago, we started this process as well at the middle school. The department coordinators, along with their department members, collaborated to review all the course book descriptions. And just as Mrs. Gregorich said, in order to make sure that we're our course book is going along with the changes in standards and student needs. We do have a few more changes than GIS did. A lot of them are just very minor word changes that departments felt like better described the courses they were teaching. So you can see the first one, they wanted to add the word critically to the description. It was changed to added every student to think critically in the description. That word was just not there, and they felt like that was a better description to what they were doing with their curriculum. In physical education on page 11, it had said girls, for girls, and we changed that to include all students regarding jerseys. Also on page 11 in science, they took out the very specific language regarding the LEAF project to include a more broad description where it says include laboratory investigations and cooperative learning opportunities. They also added in the honors packets that those had to be completed over the summer. So those were changes that the science department had hoped to make and not tie them into that LEAF collection. In social studies, we had one of our biggest changes. So about 3 years ago, in order to keep up with the changing Illinois state standards, we realigned our curriculum 6th through 8th grade. And 6th grade is teaching the first part of U.S. history, 7th grade is teaching the second part of U.S. history, and 8th grade will be teaching world history. This coming year will be the final phase of that transition. So last year in the course book, both 7th and 8th grade were listed as U.S. history. This next year we'll have that final phase in. So the description for the 8th grade U.S. history transition to world history is now in there. I think there's under the summary of GMS proposals. I don't know if people are wanting to. It won't open. I'm sorry. Do you want me to read that? I know you guys have copies.
I've read it.
Okay, so that description is in there.
That's good.
As Elizabeth mentioned in the STEAM course, we did adjust that. It looks very similar to what GIS has for the STEAM, adding that A in there for the arts. We also mentioned the Fuse Studio curriculum that's being utilized, and then also at the very end of the description, we note that students can take this multiple times throughout their time at GMS. In talking with Michelle Seltzer and our Encore department coordinator, there are so many projects and lessons that can be done in this lab that students could probably take it both years, every semester, and still not even get through everything. So we wanted to make sure that students who really found an interest in that had an opportunity to continue on that elective. Foreign language was kind of a big change, although that change has kind of already happened due to numbers. Right now, we have removed French and German for 8th grade students to go onto the high school. The only option that they will have, as they did this year, is Spanish. That has been due to numbers, but in talking with Jen, and that's an ongoing commitment to continue to look at the foreign languages that we teach and making sure we're offering those right opportunities to our students. But right now, it's kind of a numbers situation. Chorus, in talking to Melody Measel, our choir director over there, the numbers for different parts, we had a Titan timbre, and it's not been a huge selection for some of our kids. She asked if we could please just make it chorus across the board, that way she can move students in and out groups and adjust classes to better fit students' needs. With Titan timbre in there, she was a little bit more restricted onto where she could put students. So she was hoping to change mixed chorus to just chorus and then remove Titan timbre for the chorus selections. And then finally, for our math section, we did add the math course sequence that was not in our handbook previously. I think you can find it online, and it's certainly in the high school handbook. And I also want to say it might have been in GIS's, but it was not in ours. So we've added that sequence to our course book. So those are the changes that we have proposed. Any questions? Yes.
We got an invite to come to this STEM or STEAM lab, and I went to GIS's because I was both during years. But it was really impressive.
It is very impressive.
Those kids were really into this.
Yes.
And the parents, and really the, is it Mrs. Seltzer? Wow, she's good. She's good. But my question is, it looked like maybe 6 or 8 kids per room. Is that normal? Do we have enough to get a lot more going on this? And maybe it's not just a question for you.
The middle school classes are, I can't tell you the actual numbers in each of those classes, but it's quite a bit more than 6.
So we're getting, and I understand there's a lot of classes per day and all that.
Yep. Yep, we're getting quite a few students.
And is there a lot of interest, like, we need to keep this going?
I anticipate that we are just now getting into course recommendations. Students are, right when they come back from school, we're gonna be bringing the 6th graders over. We're gonna be showing them, our encore classes and our electives. So I would anticipate, I think kids find it really exciting, especially when they see all that really cool equipment in there. So I would anticipate that it would still be a topic of interest. Just on an aside, we are going to be doing a health science and medicine program that's kind of out of the ordinary. We got approvals from, or selected from the Cleveland Clinic to do a live web interactive experience with about 15 to 16 other school districts in our cohort. So kids, we had 49 students apply to be in this. We could only take 30. So I think if that's any indication of our student interest level in these types of fields and opportunities, I think that's a strong showing for what's to come.
It is. Great job. And one of the things the discussion going on was, if you build it, they will come. And that's really the best general plan.
And teachers approach us like in grocery stores and things. One of them had commented about, but you're not doing it in the high school. And my understanding is you start and you bring it up through with the kids. Like, am I reading that right? So
I can't speak to what they're getting ready to do, but I would say that's probably accurate.
like so, but sometimes these are the misunderstandings that people just don't know what we have planned. So yeah, it's great.
So Glenwood being a big athletics and physical education system as well, there's a lot of that STEM technology that's in the different sports, in the different trainings, in the ways of performance enhancement. Is there any plan to include physical education where we can bring some technology into that realm and teach the kids about all those different areas?
I don't know, but I'm certainly interested. I haven't researched that, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think there's all kinds of opportunities that are out there that are untouched, and we just need.
There's pretty amazing technology in the sport and physical arenas now.
Cleveland Hospital.
Yeah, who knows?
Brewer.
Yes.
Giora.
Yes.
Siren. Maddox.
Yes.
Graves.
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Captain.
Yes. Christine, thank you.
Good evening.
Hey, Doug.
So mine is a little bit longer as our course book gets a little bit bigger as the levels go up. I want to start by just thanking the teachers, the department coordinators, the guidance staff. We spent a lot of time going through it with a fine-tooth comb and all the idiosyncrasies and the wording and stuff, and they just did a fantastic job. So we start with changes that match policy. The first one is in business. We removed the fee because we are not able to offer that with or for dual credit this year, the introduction to computer science. Lincoln Land has added some prerequisites, so we're not able to add to offer that, so the fee's been removed. In driver's education, we added a statement that goes along with Illinois School Code, which just requires students to pay the driver's ed fee prior to starting the course. So that goes along with state statute. In English, we added the attendance requirement for Lincoln Land, since that is a dual credit class, and they do have a attendance requirement that was not in there, so we've added that. In foreign language, to keep it consistent with our English, those dual credit German books are consumables, and so there's a statement in there that purchasing of those books will be students' responsibility, and that keeps it consistent along the school. In physical education, this year they started wearing the PE uniforms, but it was not in there, so we added that requirement into the course handbook, as well as put the new and updated PE waiver from the state in there. As it goes with course descriptions, the business department has changed in their introduction to computer science, though we can't offer it as dual credit anymore, we can still offer it as a high school class. And so that was what we proposed to do. And so there's a little change in some of the stuff that they are covering, like JavaScript, HTML, and Cisco, and it also now will include some hardware aspects. In marketing, they added the prerequisite of entrepreneurship. That is a Lincoln Land requirement that you take entrepreneurship first for dual credit and then marketing. And so that is now a prereq for marketing. In English, probably the biggest change that we've had this year is we're adding in all senior, or excuse me, I skipped ahead. There's a change in the prerequisite to open it up and make sure that kids are appropriately placed in English 3 and English 4. So the prerequisite is a C now instead of a B for more appropriate placement in those courses. The senior classes are going to be split into an A and a B, as in semesters, A semester, B semester. The reason for that is to open up for those kids that are going to graduate early, they can take both English classes first semester. For those kids that want to take more English classes, because they may be majoring in writing or English or something like that, it'll open it up to them as well, so we'll be able to offer those classes both semesters. And for everybody else, it doesn't change anything. So it just breaks them from a year long into those semester classes. Again, with AP literature, they've changed that prerequisite, and that, again, it will help with more appropriate placement in our English classes. In the math area, Algebra 2 and trigonometry, we have now just added the 12th grade only, which matches the course description. It is a 12th grade class. It was not in there. It actually, I believe, said 11th and 12th. And as well for pre-calc, they have removed the requirement of a B and changed that prereq to match the course handbook, which is successful completion. Again, that opens up more kids to be able to then take that AP calculus class. In the field of PE, they have changed the prerequisite in strength and conditioning 2 through 4. That is a higher level PE class, geared for much more athletic, and so they have changed that prereq. And in strength and conditioning as well, they changed some of the terminology because the program that they're using has changed from Bigger, Faster, Stronger to a new strength training platform. And so we took the BFS out of all of those course descriptions and added the new one in there. We have added an overflow class that's going to meet first hour for the early bird, and as well athletic conditioning took that BFS requirement out. In the area of science, honors bio, they dropped the botany out of the course description. They added ecology. That goes along and aligns with the next generation science standards. And in Bio 2, they eliminated the completion of bio or Bio 2, or excuse me, honors bio, because the state requirement is that you must have a physical and a biology credit. So now the requirement will be chemistry to get into Bio 2. So that then takes care of your state requirement of both having one bio and one physical science. Physics, it was named conceptual physics, and it kind of put the connotation on it that it was an easier class, and it's not, so we've just called it physics. We've taken conceptual off of that. Advanced placement bio eliminated the sentence, a sentence in there that matches the College Board description for AP Bio exactly. And in Physics 1, they changed that requirement to a C so that we can allow more kids into those AP Physics classes. Again, trying to open things up and get kids more rigor. Some of the new courses, dual credit German 201 or German 4, that's in the sequence. This year is our first year of dual credit German 3 or 101, and so that's the next one. And the same applies for Spanish. So now we will be able to offer Spanish 101 and Spanish 102 as well as German 101 and German 102 for dual credit. And so the Spanish flowchart that's in there obviously changed to match the names and the descriptions. A very cool opportunity came to us this past year, so we've added it. It's TEP 207 and TEP 227. That is a UIS dual credit program to promote and help kids that want to become teachers start to get ahead. It is a foundation of education class, and then the next semester they will take a educational psychology class. They can earn up to 9 credits, college credits for this. They give them the foundations and the educational psych, but they also give them the 3 credits of the 9 of the liberal arts that you need at UIS. It also opens them up to automatic enrollment at UIS if they do this. Now, it is a night class. It meets on Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday nights out at UIS, but it's a fantastic opportunity for those that want to be teachers. So we've added that description straight from their courses. Name changes. Again, those senior English classes will be marked A and B now. In foreign language, we have added the term online to French 3 and 4 because they have been taking it online for this entire year. We couldn't find a teacher for that. Dual credit German 3, we changed it to keep it consistent with Lincoln Lands so that it's easily identified on the transcript for both German and Spanish that it is college level Spanish 101 and Spanish 102, or in German in that case. In PE, we added the term fitness just to keep it consistent with the other classes, and the weightlifting requirement was removed from there because of some of the state standards. Drop courses, visual basics. This is a class that we have not offered for many years. It has not made the 15, but it was also the prereq was intro to computer science, the dual credit one, which we cannot offer because those prereqs that Lincoln Land is requiring. So that'll just be removed, and we'll offer that intro class as a high school course. Foreign language, we are dropping French 1 and 2 with the inability to find a French teacher, we didn't even run French 1 this year. There are kids in French 2, 3, and 4 online, which is why we added that term earlier. And German 4 is being replaced with that dual credit 201, which is good because we can get high school or college credit. And honors research project is being removed. There are a lot more mandates on kids going into labs and hospitals, and that they will not allow us to do anymore. And so it's harder and harder to find places to go with the stricter laws. So that one's being removed. And the flow chart for science removes the standard track, which those courses were removed last year in the book. So now the flow chart will match what was action that was taken last year. And those are the high school changes.
I have a question to ask you. Beginning next January, the new program that has been worked with in conjunction with Lincoln Land,
first semester, Lincoln Land first semester program.
Oh,
It starts
okay,
next
Lincoln
semester.
Land first
Mhm.
semester program. How many kids have expressed an interest in that? Do you know? Have they signed up for it?
That I do not know, but I can find out and let you know that, yeah, absolutely. That I do not know.
That, there must be some interest then. I would
Yeah.
appreciate that,
Yeah.
because I think it was just an incredibly good idea to get a running start on your college credits, so.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about us being able to offer so many AP and dual credit classes, because you really do get a jump start
I know.
early on.
Well, I'd be interested if you could just
I will definitely
relay all
find
that
out for you.
information to board members, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. You said you dropped the French 1 and 2 and there you are talking about some online French course.
Yes, right now we don't have a French teacher, so the kids are taking French online currently.
So who is teaching that online course?
We have one of our English teachers is in there overseeing and supervising and helping. And then there's a teacher on the other end. It is a true online where there's a teacher on the other end of the computer.
So the online teacher is a French teacher, right?
Yes,
Not an English teacher.
correct, correct.
So in that case, you see French kind of disappearing over the years. Do we have intention of bringing in another language to replace?
We have talked about that a number of times, of bringing in something else. The hard part right now is finding those that are certified in those areas. So we need to really find something, an area that we can find certified folks. And our Spanish department, our Spanish teachers, that continues to grow. We have a lot of kids in Spanish. So.
I have a suggestion for that, bring in Hindi.
Are you certified in that?
Hey. I do have one other question. You mentioned on math under algebra 2/trigonometry. So I kind of have a couple of pet peeves in schooling. One is advancing kids just because they're easy to teach versus whether they're ready. But the other side of that is pulling them back because so here's my question. If a student is ready in 10th or 11th grade to take this class, why would we make them wait till 12?
This particular class is just for 12. Now, there is Algebra 2 full year for the lower levels.
And there'd be a trigonometry?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you very much.
No more questions then? This is an action item. Thank you. Second.
Worley? Yes. Reyes?
Yes.
Sheeran? Alex?
Yes.
Ruth?
Yes.
Reyes?
Yes.
Yes. Done. Thank you, sir. Mike? Snow removal contract?
We posted an RFP to go out for district snow removal. We had 2 bidders come back, we had 2 people at the pre-bid meeting. The recommendation is to bring Mr. Frosty on. The way we put it out this time, we put it out as a flat rate. Ironically, his name is Mr. Frosty. Prior to this year, for the 3 years prior, the snow removal was based on an hourly rate, depending on the vehicle size and all that. I called a couple of vendors and a couple of my peers throughout the state, and basically what people are doing, because of the lack of snow over the last 3 or 4 years, they won't even bid an hourly rate. So basically what they said is that they would get a flat rate. So that's why I put the RFP out for a flat rate, and then in addition to that, what they would charge is for a pound of salt. So the bids came back, you can see the numbers, 50 cents a pound per salt is what we had prior to the last 3 years, so there was no change there. So basically, I'm asking to get approval for $60,000 for the snow removal contract plus 50 cents a pound per salt. Yes, sir.
Why do you think there's such a disparity between those numbers? I mean, that's amazing.
The top company would have either had to go out and buy more equipment or rent it. That's the bottom line.
But by changing to a fixed bid, aren't we saving a lot of money?
Our average cost
It's
since
probably-
2011 is almost $75,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought, so that's good.
But salt's expensive.
Yeah, I
You
know
know,
that.
I mean, one application is $7,000 to $10,000 for this district. It's expensive.
Is that 74,000
Total, yes, it does. So basically, I was able to go back into Skyward and take out the actual cost per year. And I think our high cost was 2013 or 14, 130,000.
Yeah.
Our low cost was 28,000, and I think that was the following year, 15. Last year, we spent right at around $48,000, but average has been 70, well, almost 75,000.
And that's for snow removal and salt.
Yes, sir. Now this year, I mean, it snowed in November, we've already had four salt applications. The 3 years that I've been here, it's never snowed in November. We've never had to do anything in November, but this year we've had four salt applications in one plow.
So this is for whether we get 2 snowfalls or whether we get 20 snowfalls?
Doesn't matter.
60,000.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
And it's just a 1 year.
It's until April 3rd. And then in the summertime, I'm gonna go out and actually I'll probably break it down into smaller pieces and maybe we'll get some other bidders, say to do Ball and Chatham Elementary or something like that. I'll put it out like that. I think we'll save money that way. My concern this time was, could I put it out and find enough people that had their work comp insurance plus the insurance for the vehicles? So that was my concern this year. Any other questions?
That's a fitting name, I like that. Does he leave snowman on property when he leaves?
He's got them on the side of his truck. He actually does that big for the snow.
Anybody got any other questions? Not that I need a motion to approve the snow removal contract. This is just 1 year only, right?
Yes, sir.
2018, 29. Second.
Brewer,
Yes.
Maddox, Rutherford,
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Searon,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes. Mike, thank you.
Thank you.
Got an RFP for some HR software.
Yes, our current HR software systems that the department uses don't talk to one another, and they're not fully integrated. So what that does is it results in a significant amount of manual,
What are you using right now? I just-
several systems. There are 2 different systems within Skyward. There's PAC, which we use for payroll processing, and then web-based Skyward, which we use for many other things. There's AppleTrack for applicant tracking, ASOP for sub-tracking and time off. So like our certified staff, when they take time off, they put their time off in there. We have to extract that and upload it into Skyward for payroll processing. It doesn't talk. And then the other one for benefit enrollments is Employee Navigator.
Are you looking for proprietary software, or are you looking for something that's custom built or something off the shelf?
I would not want anything custom built. I mean, but I also don't want something off the shelf.
Like something
Yeah.
like a PeopleSoft or something like that? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so there's a lot of providers out there. There's some that are more tailored to schools. There are some that are good for a variety of businesses and models. PeopleSoft is one. There's ADP, there's Ceridian, there's Paycom, there's Paychex, there's Infinite Visions, there's Skyward. I could rattle off a whole bunch of them for you. There's a lot of them out there.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just curious.
What
Yeah.
do you anticipate something like this costing?
Well, that's actually why we want to go out and get some quotes, is to find out what that will cost. Because we're spending the money now in doing all of this manual data entry. And I actually listed some pain points, which I'll tell you about. What we would hope to achieve in finding a software that eliminates some of that manual data entry and some of the inefficiencies are reduced labor costs with punch validation, increased payroll productivity, decreased manual payroll entry, thus resulting in a reduced payroll error rate, reduced manual entry for new hires, data from the open enrollment system because the systems do not speak to one another. Current employee changes, a higher functioning employee self-service site, which could include analytics. We are really weak in the analytics space because Skyward just doesn't provide that. We have to really dig. It takes us hours to pull things out of the system to get any sort of information back for a report. Reduced onboarding time, thus resulting in a better onboarding experience for our new employees.
When you go out to RFP with this, would training be part of that RFP?
Yes, yeah, every system, I have experience with a couple different implementations. from prior to the school district, and they always provide training, and it's depending on what you put in there. Some of it's on site, some of it's online, but most other systems have ongoing support training, so you can like click a help icon in the system, you can call into customer support. A lot of them have a one-on-one implementation specialist that is assigned to you to walk you through implementation, and then to hold your hand for the several weeks following that time. So this is actually to go out there and, Steve, address your question of what would a system cost to get quotes for something like that.
And what are we currently paying now?
I don't know off all of those. I don't have it with me. I know the number, but I don't
It's
have it with me.
several.
Yes.
You made together.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have asked for this if I didn't think that our ROI would absolutely be more than that. When I calculated it, your ROI would come back in your first year, and that was with a pretty conservative estimate, with a 5% reduction in payroll errors, with a 2% reduction in labor costs with punch validation. I mean, those are pretty low numbers. You could really probably be more aggressive with your reducing labor costs and punch validation. I mean, that could probably be more like 15% rather than 2%.
So you could reduce your budget by bringing the right system on.
Yeah, I mean, we are spending the money now. It's just you're hypothetically shifting the money to where you're spending it.
So could you put together a schedule that has, I mean, you know, listed at least 5 or 6? Could you put together a schedule, like Skyward has a licensing fee that you pay annually?
Yes.
For accounting, it's, I like 50 or 60. So could you put together a schedule, please, that lists all these costs
Yep.
relative
I have
to
it.
different, okay, perfect, thanks.
Yep. And I also have a spreadsheet that shows potential ROI, but I can't tell you that information for sure until
That's
you
just
get
a good
quotes.
basis.
Yep.
So having listed all of those different things that you're using, do you think there's one out there that can do them all, or?
Yeah, a lot of systems today are cloud-based and they have multiple platforms on them. Skyward wasn't really built for HR and payroll. It's bread and butter is schools and student management and things related to that. This sort of became an offshoot of something else that they could offer to us. And we've worked with it for some time.
Did you spend some time with Josh kind of talking about how that would work? with
Yep,
your
Josh, wherever he went, Josh and I have spent some time together, and Charlotte as well, as to what that looks like. For him,
And I'd sit in with her on these too. And we'd help her review anything that she comes on.
So, okay, is there a second? Ashley, please.
Raymond?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Kieran? Maddox?
Yes.
Winterash?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Pass.
Yes. Ashley, thank you. 8.6, resolution to dispose of surplus and non-salvageable equipment. Wrestling mats.
Wrestling mats, so we have new wrestling mats at the high school, and we've taken all the good mats that we had, and we're using them, and we've got some old mats that are no longer good for the kids to use, and so now they're taking up space in the field house, so we want to get them out of there. Right, Liz?
Right, Dusty. Thank you.
Comments, questions, concerns? If not, I need a motion to approve.
Just, is this, you put it out on the website or something, is that how this goes down, or?
Yeah, I mean, we'll post it, and then I think we actually have some families in town that want little slices of it probably, that, they'll
Try to get what you can.
try and.
So that's, when we hear it, it's typically something along the lines of, well, that was rigged, or, that's, I'm just asking, like, do you have a process, or? if
I'll
not,
work
would
with
you-
Charlotte,
would
because
you fill out
Charlotte's who I went
the form?
through
Okay.
to write even this, so I follow her lead on it, to be honest with you, I know how she wants to dispose of it.
I'll make that motion, Steve.
I would, are you having an opportunity to speak now? Not yet, I'm sorry.
On the floor.
Almost.
On the mats.
Oh, on the mats?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ashley, please.
Brewer?
Yes.
Zero?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Kieran?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
this time, there's an opportunity for citizens to address the school board on any topic. Anybody got anything they want to bring? Mr. Blake? If you could, just
Yeah, I will.
come on out here to the podium if you could, and
Okay.
kind of state your name for everybody.
My name is Clark Blade. I taught here in the district from 1984 to 2014. I served on the negotiating team from 1988, and I honestly don't know how long I did it. Probably 20 years, maybe 22, 24. I kind of lose track on that. I appreciate what you do. And it's an unpaid job, and it's a thankless job, because you have that delicate balance between finances and education. What I see so far is that there are striking similarities between what's going on right now and 1989. And I can remember someone saying, "Doesn't the board hear it?" And what do you mean? Don't they hear it? They said, it's kind of like the Niagara River, that 3 or 4 miles upstream, you hear something that's going to happen, and there's a chance to turn the boat around. And I always appreciated that metaphor. I think in areas of finance, I'll give you a very specific one. I substitute teach as much as I can. I bleed Titan red. I go to their games. I'm in their buildings. I'm a Titan to the bone, and will be. And when we play Rochester, my wife sits on the Rochester side, and I sit on the Glenwood side, and we text smack back to each other. Last year, I had the opportunity to sub for a maternity leave in Rochester. And the pay was $238 a day. Now, I had previously subbed long-term in Springfield High, and they paid me off my salary schedule because they really wanted an English teacher. Now, the sad part of that story is there was some physical abuse, and a student physically abused me and about broke my hand, and I just said, I'm not going to do that anymore. When I heard that there was a maternity leave here, I put my hat in the ring and I asked, what does it pay? And they said, well, it pays sub-pay for the first 10 days. And then the ante is up to $120. And I thought, okay, you don't want it. You want me to actually teach, create lesson plans on classes that I've never taught before, grade papers, create tests, deal with parents, deal with all the angst that goes along with teaching. And I thought, okay, for $95, I can go home unencumbered and not have any responsibility. And I thought, it's going to take me 4 hours a day, for which those 4 hours I would be compensated $6.25 an hour. And I think, do you want a sub or do you want a teacher? Well, I very politely told one of the administrators in the building that I just couldn't do that. The similarity, and I'll make this brief, the similarity that I see is that in 1989, teachers were perceived as hired hands or hired help. That was the perception. Now, is that empirical data that I can present to you? Absolutely not. But there is an emotion that goes through, that rings through the hearts of teachers that you just know viscerally when you're appreciated or not, and when your position is appreciated, and when you're paid for being a professional for what you do. And the similarity, I see that as a similarity. I think the fact that maybe a fourth of the teachers here, because that's all that can fit in the room, and I don't think they wanted to sit out there. I think you just need to listen to the roar. I think there is a roar out there that you want to deal with before
turns into the precipice. And I know you're balancing money and education, but in my mind, education trumps it, and there are ways to solve the problem. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Got something they want to bring to the board?
My name's Dennis Marcotte. I teach band at Glenwood Intermediate School and Glenwood Middle School. You may remember me from last spring when we were pursuing the purchase of instruments for the band program. With Charlotte's help and with board's approval, we were able to secure the much needed instruments that were needed for our program. And it was best for the students. One of the major or most important priorities is taking care of our students. When a student quits my band program, I look at myself first. I think through what happened and try to connect the problem to hopefully that it doesn't happen again. I feel as a district now, we are not interested in finding out why people are leaving. It seems there's an attitude that we are all replaceable, which leads to feelings of not being valued or respected. The Encore department at GMS, when I first started, had 9 teachers, including the class of Spanish we used to have. Due to budget restraints, the Encore department is now 5 teachers, which leads to less offerings, and larger classes are the ones that were offered, or the ones that are offered now. 2 teachers out of our department left this last year because of these overwhelming numbers, and the inability to create relationships with the students because of this. I live with a person who left this last year, a counselor at GMS, who continually asked for help for the teachers, only to fall on deaf ears. All 3 of these ladies resigned. None were granted exit interviews. Again, it seems like we don't know, or we don't want to know what's going on in our building. It is time to start investing in our future of our students by listening to the most valuable resource, our teachers. Thank you.
Anybody else? Got anything they want to bring before the board on any topic?
Is there someone else? I'm sorry, I'm very happy to wait. Sit on the floor. Just not as young as I used to be. Hi, my name is Karen Hoycole, and I'm also a substitute teacher in the school district. I am pursuing my master's at the University of Illinois in engineering, and when I have free time, I love helping out. I also was just offered a long-term sub-arrangement at a whopping rate of $120 per day to prepare lessons to not only educate in the English language, but to do it in Spanish. I happen to, my maiden name is Gupta, but despite that, I'm also fluent in Spanish. And they were in need of a maternity leave, and I was offered a position, and I declined it. And it was with great sorrow that I had to decline it. However, a person who is in school and getting a master's and needing to pay for an education can't do that for 4 months at $120 a day. I'm speaking up because I heard what Mr. Blaze had said, and so I just thought that hearing this from the perspective, these teachers, they mean the world to me and to my family, and they are wonderful, and I mean, a lot of them are friends of mine, and the fact that when they can't leave and have a respite day and have reliable people to be able to step in, I'm just telling you as a parent in the district who gives my time freely and openly back to the district as often as I can, that it's very difficult to look at the economics of being a substitute teacher and look at the economics of working at Burger King.
you're much better off begging things of an artist than you are teaching in the district, and I think it sends the wrong message. And it's sad for me that teachers can't take time off in their day and have that break that I think is necessary. So I just wanted to say that, and a big thank you to all of the teachers. And parents love you, and I know I'm in the minority here in the room today, but parents love you guys.
Hi, I'm Melissa Schabel. I'm unemployed. My husband is Ed Schabel. He's one of the best teachers in the district. My daughter Kaylin and Drake, they're in the teaching intern program. So they just wrapped up. Mrs. Gregorich was kind enough to let Kaylin come into GIS with Miss Stern. And my son, Mr. Reed, welcomed him into his classroom. So because of my husband, he's now created 3 teachers. I just finished my teaching, my student teaching, and the reason I became a teacher, Dr. Wood, is because I was so inspired by the teachers that I'm surrounded by. I got to go through all of my methods class through the support of the board, and I got to go to other classes and other districts and eavesdrop and look at what they're doing. And I can't tell you how many times I thought Mrs. Gregorich would not approve of this. This is not Titan standard. I just finished at Rachel Lindsay Elementary, and it was an amazing experience. And then on my final day of UIS, I still came back to Chatham because it was my home and it's my pride. So the teachers inspired me. Every day you inspire my children. My husband on Sunday nights, Friday he comes home exhausted. Sunday nights he wants to see his students. And that's what each of you do. And it's amazing. You have amazing teachers that when we travel the state, because teachers know everybody, and you say we're Glenwood, they know what Glenwood is. So thank you.
And you helped it because you came in this morning.
Yeah, so I signed up to be a sub. And I'm excited because Chatham, these are my babies too. Thank you.
Melissa, thank you. Anybody else? Anything they want to bring to the board? Not anything? I want to close tonight by just saying we do appreciate all of you. You've been around me very much. You've heard me say there's a lot of moving parts in this business. Don't get me wrong, I'm not calling you guys parts. There's the human factor here. And whenever we got this many people, and that's over 600 people that work here, 4,500 kids, 10,000 parents and taxpayers, creates a lot of tension, and stress, and friction. And we get that. And we feel it too, just like you guys. But when we're at our best, we're working together. Because we're all Titans. And we want to put ourselves first. And in the state of Illinois, we've got a huge disadvantage. And there's also a lot of information floating around there, everywhere, about what's going on, what's not going on. You guys know who Paul Harvey is? He used to tell a story. When he got done, he'd say, "Now you know the rest of the story." Let's think about that as we go home and celebrate Christmas with our families. I think we all need to hear the rest of the story. Because there is something about being a Titan. Thank you guys for coming. Glad you're here. You let us know that we're gonna need more room, we'll move this.
After a few months of meetings with this many people, it might be a good idea.
I hope this just isn't just a negotiation